Hey guys, welcome to Hypercritical.
Why are you so weird?
What are you talking about?
Didn't you hurt yourself last time you wore that?
There are some exposed rivets on the inside. I scratched my forehead, but I put furniture pads
It's like the nerdiest thing.
over them. So
This takes the cake. Nerdiest thing you've ever done. What is that for?
what do you mean? What's it for?
Why do you have a helmet?
For my protection.
From me because I'm in such a terrible mood today.
What?
Does your hair block? Oh my god.
It is right here.
Yeah.
My nose is also.
You actually can't see or breathe.
My nose is pressed into my face. Okay, fine.
Okay. So what's the helmet for?
Just.
Oh my god, you work so hard to tidy your hair up.
Is it all messy?
Well, it usually is.
Yeah. Looks pretty good, right?
Sure.
Hi.
It actually is really weird. I think I said this to you recently, but you look like the Spencer that I met at age 17. So you had long hair then. How's my microphone?
Check out this transformation from fierce warrior into scholarly sage.
Did you just say scholarly sage?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how I'm super careful and you just yank yours down.
Tearing shit apart. Today's been a fantastic day so far.
He's lying. It's been terrible.
It hasn't been terrible. It's just been what is it, death by 1,000 cuts? Every little thing that has slowly pushed us towards the edge has been.
And it's like that saying, if you meet 3 assholes in one day, it's probably you. Our attitudes have been bad.
Yeah.
So things that normally wouldn't annoy us are just too much.
If you meet 1 asshole, it's unfortunate. If you meet 2 assholes, that's bad luck. If you meet 3 assholes, you're probably the asshole.
I've never heard the extended version of that. Well, I'm driving home to pick stuff up that we forgot for the second time.
Yeah.
Because none of this is actually ready, but we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm at the light to turn left onto Haskell, and there's a car in front of me, and this woman from the left starts walking across the street not oh shit, oops, the light's green, and also not wow, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Just right in the middle of those two things, just confidently walking across the street. Everybody was take your time, lady. So today I can't actually handle that stuff. And then you're an internet meme most of the time anyway, but you called me when I was home to remind me of something else that we forgot.
Yeah.
Which I'm telling you, Spencer, if I had come all the way back and then you told me what the other thing was, I would have been we're done for today. We're going to film tomorrow. I can't do it. So you call me, we talk for a second, we hang up, I walk into your office to get the hard drive.
Yeah.
Right away, I'm it's plugged in. I don't know if that's a 2005 fear.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think there's still some small, very, very small risk that you corrupt something on the hard drive, but
that used to be such a thing. You do not just unplug it. So I call you right back.
I've literally never lost anything just unplugging a USB, even back since 2005. But
so I call you right back.
Yeah, and I didn't answer.
You didn't answer me, so I texted you twice. And I'm there's no way that he doesn't have his phone.
Yeah. Calls
back, doesn't answer. I'm how is this actually happening? I tried to change the input on your computer myself. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
How I was doing it.
Uh-huh.
I'm well, he could be pooping.
Yeah.
No, definitely on his phone.
Wait.
He would definitely be on his phone.
Oh, yeah.
So none of this is making any sense. So I'm just sitting there literally
not at this hour. This isn't his normal scheduled time.
That's the funny part in the show Divorce.
Yeah.
Where they're already at each other's throats. And it's the opening line of the show, basically. She's you never do that in the morning. It's being married.
Yeah. Just all little things. So anyway, welcome to Hypercritical. I'm Spencer. And with me, as always, is Shannon. And we have an exciting announcement today. This podcast is now exclusively an anime podcast.
Whatever.
It's funny though, because the JoJo episode, which not even it was kind of a mess. Like, I don't know if you watched it after the fact.
No.
Wow, you didn't even watch it.
I'm trying to get a business off the ground, Spencer.
It's kind of a mess, and like we put off. If our eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that, for example, my hair length slowly extends a little bit every week. And you may have noticed that it reverted back like 6 weeks for that episode.
God, has it been that long?
I don't know. I know we kept putting off releasing it for a variety of reasons. I think we were trying to convince ourselves that we were going to do part 2, but then editing it.
Yeah.
And I had all these really grand ideas about what we'd do, and it got to editing it, and I was like, fuck it.
That's usually how it goes with video editing stuff. Like, we have an idea for an episode to do with one of my brothers, and I'm like, I have to do a lot of work.
And I just don't know how, like, there's like clip YouTube channels, and maybe this is why they're successful. I don't know, but like, because they figured it out. I'm just not there yet. Like, where did people get all these clips? I was able to like, I won't say it. I won't say how I did in case it's
well,
like,
I told you the way I've
service.
done it for like specific work projects.
I was able to rip the intro off of a video and like get a 10-second clip of the intro from one of the JoJo seasons. And like after the first time, I was like, oh, cool. I figured out a workaround. I'm going to just record the window through OBS and export it out, all this other stuff. And it worked once. And then like the program caught on and was like, oh, you're stealing stuff. You can't do that. So I had all these big ideas, and I was just like, well, fuck it. Let's just put the episode out. It's going to be fine.
No, I think it's fine.
But that episode within 1 week became our most viewed episode of the podcast.
It doesn't really surprise me that the subject of anime and a popular anime show would be the thing that gets the most views. Apparently that and geopolitics are hot topics.
Although, like, I don't look carefully at any of our analytics, to be honest. But, like, I feel like the view duration, like, people are like, JoJo podcast or JoJo whatever in YouTube. They get our YouTube video recommended to them. They're like, oh, okay, I'll watch. And then within, like, 90 seconds, they're like, never mind, I'll find a real video.
90 seconds might even be generous.
Yeah. But it is interesting. That was currently our most viewed podcast episode.
I think there will be a part 2.
Yeah, possibly.
I think we had a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more JoJo stuff to cover. We could talk, and we could also talk about other anime.
Not really.
Yeah, we could. Sure. I mean, what? Okay, so you have to have had watched.
If we're talking some movies,
yeah,
but like, are those
movies count?
Okay, let's go. We talked about this, I'm sure, but like, what is the definition of anime?
I think it's just Japanese animation.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we'll pop it up on the screen if I.
Okay, so there are some movies that I watched. I took this really cool class in college. What was it called? I don't know. Something about movies. We literally watched a movie every class.
Yeah.
And one of the movies we watched was Spirited Away, which is a very good movie. And then we watched Ponyo together.
Mm-hmm. I want to say both of those are, I'm going to say his name wrong or misremember the name. I want to say it's like Miyazaki.
I want to say that sounds right, but then we're going to Mandela effect ourselves.
Please cancel us if that's wrong. Just let us know down the comments if we've messed that up substantially. But I want to say
he has another one too.
He has. I mean, he's like.
I know he has plenty, but one that I've seen.
Most of the movies that people that don't watch anime have seen, that are anime movies, are probably Miyazaki movies.
Makes sense. I think those are probably the most approachable.
I'm going to look it up really quick just because I don't want to say his name again wrong, just in case. I
have to say, I think that JoJo has got to be approachable if I watched all 5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah. Studio Ghibli. Is that how you say it? Ghibli?
G's are tough.
GH, though. GIF or GIF?
Exactly.
Yeah, Miyazaki.
I just think when there's Jif peanut butter,
yeah,
it's like a well-known brand, and it's with a J, and it's Jif. Then with the G is GIF.
I don't know.
I'm telling you right now, that's the answer.
I always go back to the person that was like, I guess the answer is the person that created the file format says it's called GIF, but somebody is like, oh, thanks for this graphics interface format file. Like you don't pronounce the G in graphics as a J. But Miyazaki is like that studio. Most of the movies that people don't watch anime that have seen an anime movie, that's like Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service. I haven't seen any of those.
That sounds dirty.
My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
Have you seen Totoro?
I feel like we watched it together, but it's been a long time.
Princess Mononoke. You've never seen Princess Mononoke?
This is getting very nerdy. I should have known you were going to get nerdy on me when you show up in the helmet.
Princess Mononoke I actually watched it this year, I think, while you were traveling at one point. And you'd probably like that because it's not like, it's got fantasy elements, but it doesn't feel like, not even like the level of anime of JoJo. It's like a lot of those movies are almost like standalone to a non-anime fan, which is why most people have seen a lot of them, even if they're not anime fans, is because they are just like good movies. Yeah. Not to say anime isn't good.
It's just one of those things that has
a specific like taste to it. Like.
Well, I was going to say something else, actually.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that you never let me finish. Anime has a bad reputation for no reason other than when you're in high school, some kids like label it as nerdy.
Yeah.
And then you get it in your head that it is before you even give yourself a chance to like explore it yourself. Yeah. You're like, oh no, this is nerdy.
Yeah.
I was taught that, so I can't watch it.
Yeah.
The smart kids watch it anyway and like it for what it is. So it's not like a nerdy thing. It's just that it's kind of treated that way for some reason, which is ridiculous. And
I think a lot of that genre there's like a genre of anime that really appeals to the nerdy crowd, and like has a very specific, little girls and high pitched voices.
Isn't
and all
that like Sailor Moon or whatever?
I
think we talked about
that's
this too,
more of like a classic. I mean, like there's more modern anime that's like, short skirts and whatever, like
big eyes
and all other stuff that's even more caricaturized than Sailor Moon is. But we should watch Princess Mononoke. I know we watched Ponyo together, and
there's one more that I'm not thinking of.
What's the one with the all the food and stuff?
Don't know.
What was the other one that you said you didn't watch?
The neighbor one?
No, not Totoro.
I've definitely seen Spirited Away.
Oh, Spirited Away is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Because they go to like the castle and there's like all the like, it's almost like Fantasia like with all the.
Yeah. I watched that at age like 19, maybe 18. So, and not since. So I don't really remember it. Same with Ponyo. I don't really remember. But I feel like there's one more, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But, I mean, you haven't watched a lot of the... I mean, like I grew up watching...
Well, I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop yet.
Cowboy Bebop. And that's like, I mean... I think that gets more into like... I don't know. It's different. I think if you could watch JoJo, you could probably watch Cowboy Bebop.
I think I should at least once.
Yeah. At least try it. And like that's
it's a movie, right?
Well, there's a movie and there's a series. I think the movie is like later. Like it kind of the movie assumes that you know the characters and like are aware of the general situation. Yeah. It's kind of like a Downton Abbey movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Where like the series came first and then they have a movie and they don't go through and like, I'm Lord Grantham. You know, like... like
I want to quiz you on Downton Abbey now. Because like you know more than you think.
No, I mean, I've watched it by proxy like 7 times.
Okay, what's the name of the sister that dies?
Sybil.
And what's the
just total pivot. You're like, please get me out of here. Please get me out of here.
escape route. Let's see.
Hold on. What are we drinking, by the way? I don't want to get too far ahead of
it. I swear to God, Spencer, I'm going to start helping you with editing, and we're going to tally in the corner every time you just fully cut me off. We are drinking one of your favorites, which is an Aperol Spritz.
Dude, I just didn't want to forget it. We can go back to it. My Aperol, like, I feel like there's a separation happening. I don't know if you guys can see.
Well, I also made it as I thought we were ready, and we weren't quite ready. So I think
the bottom half of my glass is Aperol, and then the top half is transparent. So I think it's just like Prosecco up there.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of Prosecco, but spritzes are really easy. They are definitely like the summertime outdoor. It's one of the outdoor drinks that we've talked about. It's like a patio drink, and that we're inside. We, like most people, started drinking them because of Instagram and like Italy. Yeah. I don't want to sound like a total asshole, but we went to Italy a few times, and it's like the rumors are true. Everybody is drinking spritzes outside all the time.
I think the first time I went to Italy, this is all I drank.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Because like I wasn't prepared for a Negroni yet and hadn't been indoctrinated into that yet. So like the first time I went to Italy with John and Greg and for the Biennale, we like every meal would either be wine because John likes to order a bottle of wine, or
well, it's Italy, so
daytime for sure. Like while we were out, going to stuff, we would get spritzes, and it's just like.
And see, by the time I went to Italy, we were already deep into Negronis, and so everywhere we went, I was like, I just want a Negroni.
But and like in Italy, it's like at a restaurant when they like put bread on the table.
It's just they bring a spritz. And they do put an olive in there, like a little olive, usually on a stick, and it definitely does seem strange. It's not like a maraschino cherry in a Manhattan. Like it is not a sweet garnish. Yeah. I think it's just about the balance of flavors, and like you're typically drinking a spritz outside. Well, that's the other thing that we've talked about, but like I love this about Venice especially. Anywhere you go, you order something, they bring you like peanuts and chips, and depending on how much you order, maybe even more than that. Yeah. So you're just kind of blending like your spritz, which is pretty like sweet and bubbly, with like salty stuff. So the olive can actually be perfect. Yeah. It's a really easy cocktail to make. To some extent, it's yet another, in my opinion, that is a little bit like to taste. Yeah. The basis of it, though, you just have to remember 3, 2, 1. So it's 3 Prosecco, 2 Aperol, 1 like club soda. Yeah. I just do like Pellegrino. And in that order. Right. I don't stir it or anything. I don't think it really needs it. Typically because like the Aperol is hitting something bubbly. So it kind of immediately like mixes on its own. Yeah. But I just fill it up with ice, add the ingredients, orange slice. I don't really do the olive because we don't keep those around. Yeah. One of my favorite spritz stories with you is we were making these like 2 summers ago, and you always like them in the big like red wine glass, like a goblet, because that's how they do it in Italy. And one time, I don't remember why, but I made one in this glass, and I just like this so much better.
It's not.
You're like, it's not special. There's not a stem.
I need a stem.
It's not how Italy does it.
When I was in Italy,
well, it's one of the few things you have on me is like you went to Italy first.
Yeah, it's the only place I've ever been first.
But like most of the places, Mexico, I haven't been, so you'll always have that too. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps Malaysia.
Perhaps. So then we were in New York. Like fast forward like a few months. It wasn't even that long. We're in New York and we go to Dante, which is like one of our absolute favorite places. And you ordered a spritz and they brought it out, I swear to God, in that glass.
In like the exact same
And
glass,
it was one of my favorite moments ever because I just sat there just kind of looking at you like, huh.
That's interesting.
And then Dante changed your mind a little bit and you're like, okay, well, Dante does it. So you don't trust me, you trust Dante. I love Dante so much. I found them on Instagram before Instagram was like shoving stuff in front of us all the time. I just stumbled across it somehow. And I actually worked with them on a cool little like bonus thing for some VIPs that came to an event that I produced in New York City. And we did the event like pretty close by. Yeah. What we did was we got a bunch of coasters from them. They always have really cool coasters. Yeah. And we stamped the back and it said like good for one Negroni at Dante. So that was like one of the little giveaways.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone ever used them, but I just thought that was really cool.
But you paid for like 100 Negroni.
Yeah. The owners were like so
You're
great
like,
to work
sure,
with.
nobody's
like,
ever going to redeem this and you're going to pay us.
And like, no, but they were more like positive and like, this is fun and cool. And now they have like completely blown up.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most popular places in New York. Some magazine, something super reputable, named them best bar in the world, which is really cool. And then
I mean, with stuff like that, I'm always, and this is something, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but like, and we can go back to the Downton Abbey quiz.
I want to quiz you.
But I haven't forgotten. But like one thing that you learn as you get older is that like never take for granted a restaurant experience.
True.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because like you never know when it's going to change forever or just
be
close.
gone.
Like a lot, and like restaurants that we went to actively a lot, like when we first started dating and all this stuff, like they just like you suddenly see on Facebook back then or like Instagram, they're like, oh, Saturday's our last day. And you're like, what? It's Friday.
It's like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like when it happened with Hibiscus.
And I guess like a lot of restaurants, they probably like know that they can cash in on the final weekend because everybody's going to come and fill up reservations. And like there's probably a like calculation on like how long is too long to know before people are like, well,
I'll try to go before then. But no, you're right. Because literally I think I was just like, and I'm not really a Facebook person. I haven't been for a very long time. I happened to be on it and saw that they posted or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was weird that I saw it. And it was like, today is our last day. And I was like, get your coat. Like we're going right now. I loved Hibiscus.
But yeah, there's so many restaurants that we like loved when we first, like all of our restaurants practically from
Victor
when we
Tango's
first started dating
too.
Are all like closed or like, you know, there's a few places that still are the same. Like, you know, we'll plug Uchiba again, our favorite restaurant.
They do a good job.
They do a fantastic job, but like, I don't know. There's still like the fear that one day we'll go and it'll be different and they'll have changed their menu or brought a new chef in and it'll just never be good again. And it can happen. Like
it's so true.
Nobody warns you. There's no, you know, there's no, you don't get to vote. You don't get to say like, no, this is a bad idea. Keep what you're doing.
You can try, but
and like, you know, it's also your preference and your bias because you've seen it for a long time. Most everybody else that goes there could be like, oh, I think they changed for the better. But you're like, no, it's not the same. But anyway, Dante.
I love Dante so much. And I feel like they've done a good job sticking to what they do really well. And a lot of what they do with like the coasters and like the little like postcard type thing that they bring you with your bill and their like advertising and everything. It's all done by this local artist. Yeah. Which I just think is really cool that they support someone like that.
My thing with Dante is that I miss, and I'm, you know, again, I'm glad that we experienced it, but like I miss the first few times we went to Dante where it was like 7 p.m. on Friday and we walked up and we're like, oh, can we get drinks? And they're like, yeah, we got a table right here.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's harder now for sure.
I miss going there for coffee.
Yeah, they used to be open for breakfast.
Yeah. But now they're like so big and they have multiple locations and they're like, we open at 3 p.m. and we're booked up.
Yeah.
You know, like
they were so nice though. Like we did a dinner there at the New York event in April and, you know, they let me make a reservation far in advance. Yeah. But for what, like 12 people? And it's not a big place. Like it's pretty small. Yeah. And then last minute, like someone was coming who I didn't think was coming. And so they like added another seat. And like they're just very accommodating and really nice people. But recently something reminded me of it. We were in the car together and I go, God, I really, really hope that Dante never opens in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
It'll just like ruin the charm and like,
well, it's like, and like
they're too good for Dallas, I think.
When we first went to Carbone in New York,
exactly.
Like it was a very popular restaurant at that point. We went at 10 p.m. because a reservation
maybe
opened
even
up.
later.
And you had to be reserved weeks in advance and whatever. But I feel like it hasn't been the same. Even in New York, since like,
I feel like New York has been
and maybe
super
it's just
consistent.
maybe it's just our like my perception of it.
Mm.
But like the first time we went, mind blowing. When we went back after like knowing that there's a Carbone.
First time we went was actually lunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And after knowing that there's a Carbone in New York City and they open a Carbone in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. There's one in Vegas. There's one in Miami.
On the same street as Carbones, which has been in Dallas for...
One takes reservations. One does not take reservations. Yeah. So we saw that coming a mile away. It is no longer called Carbones.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're, I don't know the truth of it, but...
There's an article about it that said basically it literally was like infringement.
Carbones basically came out, the local Carbones with an S came out of that situation and elected to close for 3 months or something.
They got paid for the name.
Totally renovate and rebuild their menu and redo their brand. So they got bought out of it.
We haven't been back
very well.
Probably for the better.
Yeah.
Like that's always been a great place. I love Carbones, but I think they came out ahead.
But when we went to Carbone in Dallas, I was like, I would be happy to not come back here. Not that it was like
and we
bad.
We haven't gone. No, it's not the charm of New York City.
I think that when you're and like there's the charm of New York City in that like there's
this guy called John who was always
our waiter every time.
I love him.
And he's just like very Italian. And like I kind of joked to myself, I don't know if we joked out loud, but like I remember thinking at one point, I'm like, I bet John's not even Italian. He's probably an actor and he just performs that role.
He's good at it though. God, he always gets us to order more food than he can eat.
And like you go in, it's this tiny little restaurant. It's really intimate, but also like, everywhere. It's like really nice decor and like you feel like you're in a nice place. Yeah, they've got like hand carved ice cubes and something about, and like, so you're there and you're like, okay, fine, I'll buy a $20 Aperol spritz and I'll spend $30 on a like pasta dish or whatever, I'll get an absurd amount of veal parmesan and we'll never be able to finish all this.
I hate that you
like,
order veal there.
It's so good. But like something about going to Dallas and they're still charging $20 for an Aperol spritz.
You're like, who do you think
and
you are?
And you're like, this kid just lives in Frisco.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And like, you don't expect them to like completely change their menu, but you do expect some adjustments because one, it's not a small, quaint, special place.
It's a really big place.
And it feels like a Las Vegas restaurant.
And having been to that restaurant before it was Carbone, been in that space, you're like, I see exactly what they took down and put up, and it's not like.
And we knew it was there before, so it just feels.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, right,
like, it doesn't justify the cost because like, oh yeah, you put some molding around the frames to make them look fancier, but like,
not quite the same. But no, you're right because you do kind of think it'll just like be an option forever, and like there are some times where I've had like visceral reactions to my favorite places implementing changes, like the Porch. Was always known for their cob. Still is, really. And one time I went and it was different in like 4 different ways. And they had just announced new management and a new chef like weeks prior. So I sent them a message and was like, I love the Porch. I always will. Was that intentional? And they were like, no, we're really sorry. Here's a gift card. Please come back. And then Uchiba, side note, remember when the Heaven in a Barrel...
They changed it to like a green tea thing?
That's where I'm going with this. But remember when it was on the happy hour menu? It is now. But it was on the happy hour menu for like $6.
Yeah.
It was, and it's not like a heavy pour or anything, but still. Now I think it's like 11 and we're like, whatever. But yeah, they changed. All it is bitters and whiskey.
Right.
But the bitters for the summer, they changed it to like a green tea based something.
Green tea infused, whatever. Yeah, like...
We were like... But then we got used to it.
Get another fucking barrel and have both of them.
Yeah.
Because
like for like this like summer change, and then when the winter came around and they switched back, we were like, this is really like thick and heavy, and we got used to that, and they haven't done it since. And I bet a lot of people were like,
I remember,
don't bother.
We were there with Derek, I think.
Was it the time with Derek, JP?
Yeah.
And like all of us.
I think Derek and Lena and Lena was there too, and they brought out
too much bitters.
They brought out the old fashioned. Everybody got not old fashioned, a
Heaven in a Barrel.
Heaven in a Barrel. Everybody got to have Evan barrel. They brought him out. Everybody takes a sip, and we're all like, it's so good. And you're like, excuse me, it's just really, really heavy and strong. And we're all like, why would you tell them it's too strong? It's perfect.
No, because I know it's only 2 ingredients. I felt that there was not nearly enough bitters. That was the problem. And you guys were like, I just taste more whiskey. Like, why are you messing with it? And I'm like, I'm not asking them to adjust yours. I'm asking them to adjust mine. But the only reason I spoke up was it was one of the girls that works there that knows us really well, and she knows that I'm not being a bitch.
They took yours back and they brought it behind the bar, and they got the little, like, the soda gun and sprayed some water in there. And you're like, here you go.
No. I'm nice there. They like me. I'm nice everywhere.
You are nice everywhere.
You just see the bad side when I'm grumpy.
Yeah.
Can't
the only
blame
one
me.
that gets to see that.
Sorry. No, my siblings see it too. And Laura knows.
True.
So on my old laptop, I still have old calendar notifications because I just haven't deleted it. And I usually keep my computer on Do Not Disturb. So pop-up stuff, like I never see it anyway. So recently I like saw something come through, and it was like, events, financials, weekly meeting. I was like, ugh.
Oh, no.
I was like, thank God. Like, no, never mind.
I still have my, like, on previous jobs, they, you get kicked out of the email server, and it keeps asking you for your password. Yeah. Because it no longer exists. Right. But I'm like, I don't want to remove this email account because I want just in case I want to be able to scrub through my old emails.
Maybe you need to find someone's email address.
I wonder if there's a function in Mail. If there isn't, there should be, to like archive my like expired email account, and just download everything. I think you can like CSV or something.
You can export it as like an archive file. I've never really tested like opening it again. Yeah. I think it opens in the email application. Yeah. Anyway. Pretty sure that's how that works.
So.
What war was happening during season 2?
World War I.
That was the easy one.
Yeah.
Okay. How does Matthew die?
Car crash.
Okay.
He's so happy and they just had their baby.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Like that was like, because Sybil dies in season 3, like halfway through. I'm not laughing at that. And then like towards the end of that season, you think like major character was killed. They're going to leave us alone for a while. Yeah. It's practically Game of Thrones. Yeah. Then you're like, Matthew just died.
Well, I'm also just picturing, I was laughing because I was like, how there's some graphic things that like they show in that show, but Matthew dies. It's like he's driving and then it cuts to like a very far away shot, right? Of like, you never really see anything happen, right?
You don't see it happen, but there's a close up on his dead face, which is very disturbing.
I'm just imagining like for some reason, no, for some reason I'm just imagining the like Home Alone 2 when Marv gets electrocuted and it's him in his car. He's like, ah!
That movie is one of the best sequels of all time. I think we talked about this actually, but like it's very well done because it's more of the same but different enough. But
like it is very like such an 80s sequel. Yeah. Where like suddenly he's got his like, they're like, we can sell toys, and he's got like his talk boy.
Everything
and, like, all
is super branded. Suddenly, it's pretty annoying. Wait, I had a good one.
Fuller, pass the Pepsi.
That's an Home Alone one. Yeah. Go easy on the Pepsi. Dang it, I had a good one for you. Oh, what does?
I think later seasons I'll like fall off a little bit, but
what does Thomas do to get sent home from the trenches?
He like shoots himself or something.
Close.
I can't remember.
He just holds his hand up.
Above like the trench.
Yeah, I don't think he loses a finger or anything, but it like goes through his palm, and that's enough to get him sent home.
What's Lord Grantham's dog's name?
That is a good one. Isis.
Yeah, I knew that one.
What's his second dog's name?
Persephone.
Just kidding. Okay, weird. I just thought I saw a cat in the corner of my eye because I'm like so used to seeing cats. I can't remember actually because it happens at the very end. I know. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. It's super annoying. Anyway. I do love Downton Abbey. I get crap for loving that show, but I do. That's one that I can rewatch like every other year.
Yeah.
You give me a hard time, like I've watched it a lot, and I have, but it's not a once a year thing. It's one of those
shows that's feels very more recent than it is.
Yeah, it's been a while.
When did that show first come out? Like the first episode?
Probably like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Crazy.
So at the beach with my family, I think I told you, we watched at least 26 movies. Because we for whatever reason are those people that can't operate together without the TV on. But we also watched a bunch of Madmen, mostly
really?
with my mom.
Yeah. Oh, because she's never seen it before.
She's never seen it, and all these things, and like from episode 1. She's seeing all these things happen and she's like super nostalgic suddenly. She's like, oh my God, that's exactly how it was. Like, that's how people did things.
Just clearing their picnic blanket into the
and
lake.
Like the like phone operator, like my mom did that. Like that was a job. My sister was like, don't tell people that. Like, what year was that, Mom? Just ages her immediately. But it was kind of
starts tapping out Morse code.
Yeah. But it was kind of fun, like watching her reaction to it. And now I want to watch Mad Men again. But there's like a scene. Well, I was telling my mom, I was like, I watched this in American Studies in college.
Yeah. Like
my freshman or sophomore year. It was the first time there was ever an American Studies class. And every time I start to tell stories like this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've told this story on Hypercritical before, but whatever. But like I went to a really small school, and if it was a nice day and a small enough class, half the time we would go outside. Like super like what you see in movies, but you don't think ever really exists. Like, oh, the professor is sitting out on the lawn and everyone's in a circle. I'm like, no, we did that. But I loved that we watched episodes of Mad Men together, because he's like, this is an important point that you need to understand about what society was like. They didn't think about consequences of things like your kids playing spaceman with your dry cleaning bag fully over her entire body, and you just got mad at her because the clothes are laid out, not because she has plastic on her head.
Yeah.
And like ranch style homes and what that meant for like the kitchen being part of the living room now.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
I always remember like talking to my older brother, and like he was obviously too young to really experience it. And I was definitely not alive yet, because like the year I was born was the year my
orange chunks.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
It's from the middle.
Is when the year I was born was the year my family moved to Texas. Okay. But I remember talking to my brother about Mad Men. What are you doing?
Floating chunks. They keep like hitting me.
Talking to my brother about Mad Men, and he was basically like, you realize that's what like our dad did. Like he was in advertising on Madison Avenue.
It's crazy.
And like all the stuff about like them going out and drinking, like that's at
11 a.m.
What
in their offices,
the work environment that
crazy
they were in. Like it's just weird to me.
It is super weird. I'm just trying to imagine. Like, are you sure it was your dad?
Yeah.
Weird.
He wasn't like the creative team or
sure.
like Don Draper. He was more. I think he did like ad buying more so,
but not in the 60s.
Not in the 60s, but in the 80s.
Okay. Like, that's the part that I'm like, hold on, time wise, this is not making sense.
But basically, he was saying like, yeah, that's right. Like, correction, yeah. The people he worked for were the guys from the 60s.
Okay, all right.
And
that
so like they were still going out for drinks at 11, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And so that's what I meant by like the environment, and like he wasn't necessarily like, 1960s.
Still,
whatever.
but still being on Madison Avenue, even in the 80s, there's still like dregs of it, like you just said. Honestly, that Mad Men makes me think of a lot of things, but back when we were both working at the same company and we had a lot of coworkers in the area, we would frequently get together for happy hour, not only at Uchiba, but also at Hudson House, which is a really good happy hour. It's really fun. Super dangerous though, because they do half price martinis for like $5 martinis basically. And no shade to Dante, but these are like full size drinks.
Oh yeah,
they're happier drink. They do like cute little ones, and you're like, oh, fair enough, but maybe warn me. Lost my train of thought entirely. It's also a place that you get oysters,
Yeah.
And so we'll get there. We'll all order martinis, and someone's like, "So which oysters do we want?" And I'm like, I'm immediately picturing Roger Sterling puking oysters all over the office floor because the elevator's down and he has to make it to a meeting.
He has to walk
He
up the
has to
stairs.
walk like 30 flights, and he finally makes it. Well, he also had like 6 martinis or something at lunch before an important client meeting. Like, I can operate. I'm ashamed to say that there are plenty of instances where I've been able to operate in work environment things after having a couple drinks.
Yeah.
But like, I've seen people do way worse, and I'm like, how are you functioning? Like, how are you doing this? And I think in the 60s, it was just like, it's like smoking all day.
Right.
While you're eating, which I think is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to think of more Downton Abbey quiz questions for you for another time. But you did pretty good. Okay, what's the mom's name?
The mom's name? Mm-hmm. It's like...
they don't say it that much. Because it's usually the girl saying, Mama.
I can't remember. I don't know that one.
Where's she from originally?
The United States.
Do you know that in real life, she moved to London and got married and has like 3 English daughters?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's like, it's all very Downton Abbey.
That's funny.
It's funny.
Hold on, I need to check the time. I can't unless you can read that tiny number right there.
You're the one with glasses on.
New setup. We're farther away. I'm just gonna... Oh, we're only at 40 minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't starting to worry yet. What do you think of the new setup?
I like it. I like the new setup. I think we'll get used to it a little bit more. Sips, drink. And I think as we figure out the different quirks and things and kind of adjust, it'll be better. Like today, we're filming daytime instead of in the evening. So more natural lighting, and I think that it looks a million times better. Yeah,
before it was just like a lot of shadows.
Yeah, like this big like spider thing on the wall because of all the
it's like there was
shadows.
A spider?
Yeah, there's a spider right behind you the whole time.
Oh my god.
It gets spooky at night around here. No, but I think the natural lighting is good, so maybe daytime record, and that also like it makes it a little bit more.
It was my idea.
It was her idea. It makes it a little bit more difficult scheduling wise because. You know,
whose fault is that?
We have jobs and stuff. But it's also just, I don't know. It's nice not to, I think like we're both super spoiled now when like, even if it's something I want to do, if I have something to do in the evening, like it gives me flashbacks to when I had a job where I'd work 6 to 10 p.m. or whatever.
Starting
like,
work at 6 sounds so terrible.
All day you're like, oh wait, we got.
You're like, it's only 11 a.m. Calm down.
And you're just like thinking about it all day.
I do hate that you have this like dread. Well, it's funny because now you do something 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
So for you to be like, now I have these obligations at night, it's like literally by choice.
Gotta get to work. I like referring to it as work. I mean, it kind of is like there's a lot of work to do, and there's like, so it's not just like I'm having fun playing games. Like you have to manage a lot, and like we're talking about streaming at twitch.tv/Hegmo. You have to manage a lot, and like keeping up with your channel and making sure like you're analyzing analytics and
I like how cut back to the beginning of the podcast you're like I hardly look at hypercritical analytics, and then you're talking about how important it is for
well I mean it is, but like it's important for YouTube also, but like also
compare the two.
I don't know, I think for the podcast we're not like, oh we got to make it big, like we're mostly
obviously not
we're mostly just doing it, and like the whole thing started as a research project for your podcast, which is separate,
which is going well.
You can say it and look into the camera like no,
I'm not ready to cross.
Okay. And so like we got the equipment for your business, and we were like, well, let's figure out how this works, and the only way we're going to figure it out is to make a podcast, and so that's why we're here. We've just continued to do it because one, we're still learning. And I think that's a good thing about testing out the different setup and all that other stuff is like, all right, so like let's use it as a learning opportunity. Yeah.
Makes me think of our first episode that we recorded where like I'm not super vain, but like if I'm being recorded and we're posting it, I'm gonna like put a little bit of effort in. But like that first one, like not even a little bit. Like I looked terrible. And we even said like, well, we're just testing. We're not going to publish it.
And then we did.
And I'm like, why did you just do that?
You look fantastic.
No.
You look amazing.
So how's streaming going?
Streaming's going pretty well. It is funny though, because like with streaming, it's the same thing. Like being nervous to be on camera. Like when I first started streaming, I had a camera set up. It was there the whole time, but I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
And so like I had like my little avatar, little picture in the bottom that would bounce up and down when I talk. And then like you suddenly just do it. Like I started slowly introducing it, and then now like I've got the camera and everything set up and incorporated into the stream and all this other stuff, and you very quickly get to the point where like I sit down. I do it for the podcast too, where I sit down and I'm like, my hair looks okay. Like,
yeah, that too. I mean,
like,
whatever.
I'm not like, I gotta look good for camera. I'm just like,
whatever.
You're getting the raw feed. It's just like.
I mean, I guess too, like at my previous job, even just like being on video calls all the time, you kind of get used to that element of it. But also like there were plenty of things that I did as part of my job that was like live streamed virtual events and like pre-recording stuff for that and like helping with like, well,
it's funny like thinking about you like on stage at a
that
event
too.
Where there's like thousands of people.
It's weird
watching either online or in person and like
we like the SIC, the last one that I did, there were 800 people in the room and plus we were live streaming it to probably, I don't even remember the numbers, but like probably a pretty big audience.
But it's also funny how like different interactions, like today I'm gonna go straight from the podcast to streaming, like a little break in between, but like pretty much from one to the other. And like there'll be a part of me that's going to be like, okay, I gotta turn the camera on. Like
I mean, it makes sense.
I don't know if my burp just got picked up by the microphone. But then same thing, like I haven't like released anything yet, but I've started to like build up some footage at least to make some pre-recorded videos for YouTube. That's an extension of my streaming project, and like there's like an anxiety and like a nervousness of like doing something pre-recorded, and I'm like, I record a podcast once a week, I'm live on camera playing video games 24 hours a week, and I'm like, here's a 60-second script for a YouTube video, and I'm like, okay. Like,
well, and like everybody is so visible now with TikTok and Instagram. Like everybody's doing like, oh my God, I sent my sister something recently, Spencer. I doubt you see these with your Instagram algorithm, but like I'm about to lose my mind if I see one more video of a girl sitting talking about something serious while she's doing her like skincare and makeup. Not even talking about it, just like putting on her serum and all this. And I'm like, what are you doing? And like one girl did it once, and it like if you're talking about your skincare routine or your makeup, like fine. But like one thing I learned as a new mom and like just doing all this stuff, I'm like, what do you like?
And you set up the camera and you set up your lighting and you did your hair beforehand. All it's not an off the cuff thing where you're like, oh, I just like. It's all
like something really important just happened, and I also have to do my skincare before I can tell you.
It's like all the times, everything on social media is like that. And I think at one point, I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about something where you're like laughing at it and so ridiculous. And I was like, I just need to pause and point out who's filming this.
Yeah.
Right. like when you've got both people and one surprising the other or whatever like, coming in, it's like there's a fucking camera on a tripod right here.
Oh no, I didn't notice it.
It's not like I tricked you into this podcast thing and you sat down with a microphone in front of you and a camera recording right here and you're like, oh, it's just day in our life. Like the whole thing is scripted and prepared, and they probably did fucking 8 different takes of it to get it right. And like,
Well, like, especially the day in the life videos where it's literally a shot of them waking up.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that where like, you know, their alarm goes off and it's like a shot of their face and they're like, oh. And they turn off the alarm and the camera angle changes. And you're like,
it's just a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because, like, I think I told you about this guy. Maybe I didn't. I randomly saw this guy who was like, I'm posting every single day.
Yeah.
My body transformation. I think he's like Danish or something. And he was only on like day 7.
Yeah.
And he already had hundreds of thousands of followers, like 300,000 probably. And he's like, no matter what, I am posting every single day. Yeah. And he like weighs himself every day. He shows what he's eating and he like fasts a lot. So he eats like a steak a day. And like people have definitely been like, dude, you need to diversify and get micronutrients. Yeah. And there's lots of commentary. But he's already lost like 10 pounds. And like every time I see another one, I'm like, this guy is just following a formula, but he's doing it just differently enough that he's almost at 1 million followers.
That's crazy.
And he's on like day 35.
Yeah.
So he does the thing, but it's funny how in some instances it bothers you and sometimes it doesn't.
We're on like episode 22. So every week, day 140, 150. And we only have like 27 followers.
Well, we're not posting every day.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a weight loss thing.
I mean, I know I should.
I've lost like 5 pounds just from not drinking.
Yeah.
Like we're having a drink right now,
not
but
really.
Like it's a light drink. But we were, you know, we've talked about it, and even in the past 150 days, we've gone through all of the phases of the cycle with drinking. But like a month ago, we were in the phase where it was like every night we're like, cocktail sounds good.
Of course it does.
Yeah. And then I think it's nice when we get to that point simultaneously, where both of us, without like really saying anything to each other,
it just stops.
We're both just like missed a couple days in a row, and then the next time somebody brings it up, we're both like, nah.
We're like, don't talk about it. Like, don't say it out loud because.
And we did have the one night, and it was after you came back from out of town, and I had already been not drinking, just because I was home alone.
You're not going to just drink at home by yourself.
That's no fun. I mean, every once in a while when you're gone, I'll have like a whiskey or whatever, just to, you know, hang out with my friends and watching Princess Mononoke and having a whiskey
with your Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, when you came home, I was like, can we have a drink together? And you're like, sure.
I was so fresh out of it that it was okay for like one more. Yeah. Like I hadn't and after stopping for a couple days after that like binge fest of sugar and alcohol with my siblings.
And even like having not had a drink for a week myself, like you were done with it because you had been doing it so much. And then after that one time, I was done with it because I was like, man, I actually felt really good until that drink. You know, like.
Well, that's why, like, after that first night back, where we had Manhattans together, and then David came by and had one with us. Nothing. And I was like, I am checking everything off my to-do list every day. Yeah. I'm back to working out. I take a walk every day. Like, I'm taking my vitamins.
I go to sleep when I want to, and then I wake up. In the morning when I should and not.
We would like literally be going to sleep, maybe waking up once.
Yeah.
And then you wake up at like 7 and I just get out of bed. Like I don't lay there. Like you're pretty bad about that. But even on a good day, you like to just lay in bed.
Yeah.
But we had plans to meet up with some former colleagues who are just friends. I should probably just call them friends.
Yeah.
And it was like a happy hour situation at, Velvet Taco. And I'm like, I don't feel too bad about having a margarita because we haven't been drinking. And so like, I don't feel, and of course Derek's like, we were like, yes.
I thought about it in the moment because you were mid conversation when he asked, and I was like, I should say no, but I wanted another one.
Me too. Totally. I was like, say yes, Spencer. Because I was in conversation, but I was listening too.
But we both got home and we were like, this was a mistake.
I was really mad. Well, and then we
slept like
shit. Then we Uber Eats Van Leeuwen ice cream because you could not let it go. And I'm like, you're like, what do we have that's sweet? I'm like, I could make like peanut butter cookies are always really easy. Like you always have what you need for those. Although actually we didn't. You're like, what about ice cream? I'm like, I can't make ice. I'm like, I'm just going to order it on Uber. Like, I don't care if you have like, no, don't order it. I'm just going to do it. So I think that made us feel bad too. Cause that's just overall a lot of sugar. But I woke up the next morning and I was so pissed because I was awake all night, didn't sleep well, had a headache, and like of course I'm like, I don't want to take a walk.
And so like it was one of those, and like I had part of the problem that I created for myself, I created because I was I won't specifically talk about that necessarily, but I woke up early because I was, whenever I drink, I wake up too early. Mm-hmm. And then, it's like 4 a.m. and I was like looking at stuff on my phone and I had this like sudden, like, I wonder if I screwed that thing up because I did it while I was drinking.
If you had that feeling, you probably did.
And I checked and I was like, yeah, I definitely screwed that thing up. So like 4:30 in the morning, I like went and I started work. Went back to sleep at 6:30, and that just like that always destroys my like energy for the entire day.
I think you have to find a way to just stay awake, and so that you can nap at like 11 even, but like going back to bed, it's too early.
Yeah.
This was like a bug over there. I saw something on Instagram that said if you have like a couple ants in your kitchen,
like a really big one.
It's a really big one. I saw one of those in our bathroom recently. If you have like a couple of ants in your kitchen, if you just kill them, the colony will know and they want to come get them to like bury them. That's why more show up. So you're supposed to just like not like capture them, but I think it has something to do with like a trap so that the like other the colony doesn't know, but I thought that was interesting. I'm like, shit. Because like whenever we've had ants in our kitchen, it's just been like a continuous flow and we just keep making it worse by just like.
Well, that's why I use like the bait stuff. Well, it's pretty terrible, but they take it back.
I actually feel really guilty about stuff like that. Back.
Ants are fucking weird. We don't have time to talk about this, but ants are like.
Have you ever seen where there's like a trail of them just like connecting to like a wasp?
Oh yeah, they like
nest?
help.
It's insane.
Have you ever seen the video of they're like on a blade of grass and they make a little ladder. Like one of them goes down, he's at the end, and the other one crawls on top.
Oh, it's so sad.
And the other one crawls on top, and they, the fourth or fifth one catches the leaf, and they all crawl up. And the first one that like started the ladder is like, I didn't get.
It's really sad. Okay. They like fully leave him behind. And his little arms, he's like
reaching, and then he stops. And he's like, never mind.
So sad.
But ants are fucking weird because they like apparently.
But weird in a really fascinating way.
And like the whole thing where they'll, come pick up their fallen comrade or whatever. Oh. But also like there's, and I can't remember the specifics of it, but like I remember reading about on the internet at some point, like a study, like somehow colonies that are like miles or like, states,
really far
like
apart.
Very far distances will like change at the same time.
Weird.
Or
how are they part of the same colony?
I don't know.
They intentionally split them up to like test.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Or like they like globally there's like somehow there's some sort like I don't know if like all the ant colonies are connected within some radius and it's like some Ender's Game shit where they're all just like
the buggers.
sending some frequency and deciding to change their. That is a really big ant.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're fucking weird.
My dad
was like bees like communicate through dancing and like movements. And you're like, how they don't have brains. I don't understand what you're talking about. It's
pretty incredible. Like I saw something that was a bee that had been like covered in honey.
Yeah.
And they took her back to the colony and all of them surrounded her immediately and like fully cleaned her up.
Yeah.
And like they just know. They're not just like, oh, it's like a problem because she's part of the hive. They have to clean her up. Like the way they treat their queen, it's just like fascinating. How did he get there?
I think he went behind.
But that was really fast. It's like when the cats move, you're like, you were just.
Hello.
My dad was allergic to fire ants. So I also have a part of me ever since being a kid. Like if you see a fire ant in the house, you kill it because like my dad could go into like anaphylactic shock. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
But I try not to do that now. I've just seen things on Instagram recently where it's like, what if you didn't kill everything that you saw?
Yeah,
like, what if you just, like this woman lives on a farm somewhere and there was like a tarantula that looked pretty like sick. And she like put it in a box, gave it water. And like a few days later, he just left. And she's like, see, you don't have to like.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like, and there's some things like the wasps. Wasps are like, they don't provide any benefit, I don't think.
I think they do pollinate.
I don't think they pollinate.
I've heard that they do.
Maybe they do, but I think, I don't know.
Regardless.
I'm not a wasp expert, so I can't argue.
I don't want to argue. I'm just saying.
But like they're also destructive. So like, you know, the wasp that we have in our area will build nests like on our house, and like they'll damage the siding of their house, or if they get in, they can build a nest inside, and then you have a huge problem. Like if it, like, think about like the void space in over our porch, you know, if they got into that someplace that's not inside our house but an enclosed area, they could like fill that whole area slowly.
I mean, with wasps, like, I don't want them on my house, but I'm also not gonna do that like hack that's circulating on TikTok where it's like, have you seen this? You put gasoline at the bottom of a jar and you just put the jar over the nest, and they immediately die.
Wow.
And it just, like, I was talking to my brother about it at the beach, and we were like,
yeah,
I feel very uncomfortable with
and
that.
Like, you know, like, and we don't know what it is, but like we occasionally we'll find a bunch of bees like in our driveway that are just like dead, and then like there's
so
not
sad.
A nest anywhere. I don't know if like somebody else, one of our neighbors, is spraying or something.
They must be.
And you're just like, especially bees. Like I like, people get freaked out by bees, but I'm like, they're so important.
Yeah.
You know, and like
they're not gonna.
If you like swat at it, sure, it's gonna sting you, but most bees aren't like aggressive.
Yeah.
And like, and I think that's the kind of thing too, where like, if you have a bee hive on your property or something, most of the time there's like a beekeeper that you can look up, and they will come and remove them, like, humanely, not like for charge. They're not gonna like, oh, it's gonna be $7,000 for me to relocate these bees. They're like, oh, thank God, please, I'm on my way, I'll come get them.
Don't do anything. Like, I will come. Well, even like big fat bumblebees that are like, I have a thing with big bugs flying around, because I'm like, I don't know where they're gonna go next, and they're gonna like hit me in the face or be like in my hair or like under my clothes. So I do freak out a little bit.
You do freak out with bugs.
But there's a whole story, and like, I will totally be posting this picture of my brother. I was
gonna ask you a question. We'll save it for next time.
He had a bee at the beach, a big fat bumblebee, and it would not leave him alone.
Remember that bee that
he fully lost his mind? It was hilarious.
There's a bee,
but apparently those are like, they don't do anything. Like, do not kill those. They're not going to hurt you.
There is a bee, and I think you were outside with me. It was when we had the squat stand in the driveway, and I was working out in the driveway all the time. And there was this bee that like kept landing on my arm. And he just chill out. And like, he
was tired.
I very carefully took him. Like, you know, to the other side of the driveway, and I like brushed him off into the grass, and like 30 seconds later I'm back on my arm, and so I took him all the way down to the end of the driveway and dropped him over there. 1 minute later, he's back on my arm, and I'm like, what is going on?
You know, it's the same bee, right?
Yeah, it's the exact same bee.
I don't think you told me that.
Yeah, I had to like take him down the street.
Oh, sad. He was just tired. But then like,
why like find he's
he
like had some infatuation with me.
One more thing on bees.
Okay.
I follow a ton of accounts like this, like especially Texas Bee Works, like everybody knows her. Oh my God, my mind is just like breaking down. Like, it just fully slipped away.
It just
I'm like mid sentence, and it's
like, just what's the shutdown noise? Like the Windows 98 shutdown. Yeah, it's 97. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, she's like, if you want to help the bees, like, number one, it's like, you know, if you find a hive or something, call an expert. They'll just show up. But it was like, plant flowers. Yeah. And I'm like, done. Let's get roses. Fucking Texas summer. Yeah. Like, nice try. Everything is dead. Everything is dead. And I'm just like, when I find bees in our driveway, I'm like, I want to plant more flowers for them, even if it has to be every week. But I wonder what's happening, because it's so sad when you see them like crawling on the ground, and then the next day they're just still there. They're just dead. I saw something about you can put like a really like you know, when you get a pot, the little like tray, the like drip tray, does it have a hole in it? No. Okay, yeah. So you fill it with marbles, and then you fill that with water, and that's a spot that like bees can land and get a drink without getting stuck and drowning.
Ah, that's nice.
That is nice.
Cool.
That's all. Well, that's all about bees for this episode. We'll be back with Hypercritical Bee Edition next week.
We'll be back next week. Actually, I wanted to ask you, this is one of my questions, but we ended up, I always try to have like, I was thinking when you asked me earlier, I was like setting up a few things that we could talk about.
We talked about like 18 different things.
Yeah, which is good. I think it's, just let it go and not be like, so anyway, I was thinking about this. Like, when it's natural, it's better. But maybe next week. No promises. But maybe next week. One of my questions that randomly popped into my head was like phobias. Like what freaks you out?
I have a list.
You got a list, yeah.
Remember that though. That's a good one.
But yeah, so that's a good conversation. And I know like you've got a bug thing for sure, where you're like there have been so many occasions where like, and you like don't freeze, you get manic but silent. And I like
well, okay, and like you've known that about me since we first started dating. So why are you so confused when it happens?
Because like I like in that situation, I'm like, it's like the videos.
But surely it's a bug.
The things that people do where they fake get afraid of something out of nowhere. Have you seen that video?
Mm-mm.
It's just
yes, this is
couples
so funny.
And they one of them just starts like freaking out, and the other one's like with them the whole way. And so I'm just like, I have to react, but like you won't communicate what it is or where.
My bug noise, though, right?
But that just means bug in vicinity.
That's all you need to know.
Like,
wait, what is it?
I'd like.
It's like.
Yeah. Well, that's the first one, and then it's like,
then it's me running.
Yeah, but then it's also like, I'm like, okay, so where was it? You're like, it was over there. I'm like, well, it's not anymore. If you had shown me, I could have tracked it.
If it's like a cockroach, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. I have to go. I'm packing up the cats, and I'm out of here.
All right, this has been Hypercritical.
So my question for you was going to be about pet peeves you have about me. So there's one. We'll pick this up next week.
Interestingly, they're correlated. No, just kidding. This has been Hypercritical. We'll see you next week. Stay critical.
Stay critical. That's my
line. Oh, sorry. This has been Hypercritical.
Stay critical. It's non-alcoholic.